Alright, so years ago, I guess around 2014 or so, Greg Jackson, aka Onision, had a forum. I believe it was onision.xyz. I remember the extension being XYZ. Now, kind of a rundown on that. He changes forums quite frequently. It's ridiculous as to how many times this guy has changed the extension to his forum. So, there was a lot of grooming practices within this forum. Years and years ago, like I said, I guess around 14, 15, something along those lines, I was going to do an article on him, but what happened back then was he shut the forum down. And I was trying to figure out, because I was still new, still kind of learning how to do this, because I had to teach myself how to do this kind of stuff. I was trying to figure out how to get the images and how to get the evidence against this guy back then. And I couldn't. In this forum, he had a segment called Rate My Body where very clearly underage girls, usually on that forum it was about anywhere between 12 and 16 that would ask him to rate their bodies, and he would. The thing that disturbed me back then was how he was not disturbed by it, and how he, promoted it. He was perfectly fine. To me, that seemed like a really tacky method of getting child pornography. Now, like I said, it wasn't too long after I got onto the forum that he shut the forum down. Now, I don't know if that has something to do with my presence on there, because I know he knew that I was obviously there looking into it, because I went on there with the name War on Corruption. It was kind of obvious. I wasn't worried about it. So, ultimately, the forum did close down, though. But on this forum, there was a lot of disturbing things. Needless to say, comments that were public in the forum of adults grooming children, even making sexual comments to children. Then when I would go and look on on the kid's profile, I'd see that they're only about 13, 14 years old. Go and look at the other person's profile and find out that they were in their 20s, 30s, 40s. Very disturbing culture. To me, it was like a safe haven for pedophiles. Now, he has a new forum. We're not even going to mention the name of it because it's not worth promoting. Not going to promote that kind of a culture. Chris Hansen has been looking into Greg for the past, a little over a month now, I guess, about a month and a half, something like that. This has drastically hurt Onision. His Patreon. If you watch some of his videos, he mentions how Patreon banned him, and it's because of his quote-unquote haters. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go on the record and state that his Patreon was actually closed because he doxed one of his exes using the Patreon site. Not a very smart move. Unlike YouTube, Patreon does not play that game. So, you can see here that there's actually some of the feedback videos, reply videos to some of the stuff he's done, commentaries on some of the things going on right now. But the point is he wasn't banned from Patreon by anybody else except himself. So he's been doing a lot of these wine bag videos, as I call them, basically having quote-unquote mental breakdowns. Those are completely false. We all know they're false. Everybody that watches one of his videos can clearly see it's all fake. And good riddance. At least, even when the FBI is investigating you and Chris Hansen's investigating you, at least you can keep acting. Good for you. He's going to need his acting skills in prison very soon, I'm sure. So the FBI have been in communication with Chris Hansen, as far as I understand. I'm kind of debating myself if I'm going to give them a call and ask them if they have anything any commentary regarding the Onision investigation to do that. For those that are wondering how they would do that, you would have to contact the FBI department over in Washington State. Not Washington, D.C., but Washington State. So, anyways, Gregory, aka Onision, is under a lot of fire. If you can go look at his recent videos and see that he's getting a lot of hate. And as you can see in the photograph, he's getting a lot of hate. His likes and dislikes are no longer proportionate. His likes are outnumbering his likes by 1,000, 2,000, depending on the video. I saw one video where he had like 627 likes and like 1.7 thousand dislikes. So there is a substantial difference. Now this is really interesting here. I'm grooming you nicely. That is a very disturbing thing that was made by his spouse. So I don't know the backstory to that, but it's something that kind of goes along with what his victims are saying. Now we're going to be looking at some of his Twitter while I discuss. These are, now keep in mind, his demographic are children. These are the kinds of posts that he's putting on Twitter. So, anyways, we've blurred out some of the images. The reason for it is because they may not necessarily be porn, but they are close enough to it that I felt the need to blur them out. So you'll see a couple of things in there that are blurred out. You'll see certain words. We blurred out the word all but the first letter, so that way people kind of have an idea of what he's saying. But this guy is somebody that, according to all of his victims, Shiloh, who was one of his, at one point married to him. There's a few others, I can't think of their names offhand, but they have all talked about this kind of behavior, the sexual puns, the innuendos, and this was something that was pretty prevalent on his forum as well. So basically, he shut that forum down and took to Twitter, and, well, now his forum is, the same demeanor he had is showing up on Twitter. So, with Greg, do I expect that he's going to get arrested? Absolutely. Now, his current wife, or spouse, I'm sorry, his spouse isn't transitioning from female to male, so we're just going to call him spouse. His current spouse was actually one of his victims. Like every other victim, they were all under the age of 18 when he met them. For example, Shiloh was actually, I believe, 16 or 17 when they actually had sex, and he only went to Pennsylvania to do that because it was the legal age of consent there. You had to be 17 or 16. I don't remember if Shiloh was 16 or 17, so it was one of the two because she was at that age of consent. So, but a lot of his victims, if not all of them, were either at the age of consent or pretty close to it. They were all under the age of 18. And currently, he is still being monetized by YouTube, which has risen a lot of questions. Even Chris Hansen has questioned this on his show a few times, wondering how this guy is still monetized when people are being shut down for ridiculous things. And it is a legitimate question. It's a question I'm asking as well. Why is Greg still monetized? Why is he not deplatformed? Why is he allowed to re-victimize these people? As I said, he was banned off of Patreon. I believe I said that. But if not, he was banned off of Patreon because he doxed one of his exes. He spent 7 years harassing one of his exes, who he only dated for a few weeks. Of course, he does not acknowledge any of this, even though it's on the internet, and as we all know, what goes on the internet stays on the internet. So, you guys have a pretty good idea of some of the posts that he makes on Twitter, which of course make me wonder, with all these minors, and he does have a new website again, it does make me wonder, what kind of private messages is he sending these girls? If he's making this in public, knowing his demographic are children, or minors, what is he sending them in private messages? We know what kind of voice recordings he does, because that's been blasted out too, where he blasted somebody's phone, leaving them voicemail after voicemail. There's a video on it. So, I just wanted to kind of give a quick rundown, kind of show you guys some of the stuff that's going on from a different perspective, and go the angle of even showing you guys some of his tweets. Things that I haven't seen in the other videos. So you guys have a pretty good idea. As you can tell, we've had to blur that image out as well. Well, we blurred out the part that's nudity. There's no point in blurring out the entire image when it's just a girl sliding, but we did go ahead and blur out some certain areas. But it's disturbing to see him post this kind of stuff, and hopefully by the time all is said and done, with Chris Hansen investigating him and with the FBI, he's not going to be able to create new victims. He's not going to be able to make these YouTube videos, and he's not going to be able to subject his minors of followers to this sort of nonsense. That's really all we have on this. If you guys have any comments, questions, whatever, feel free to hit us up. You can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, here on YouTube. I try to respond to everybody. Facebook, it may not necessarily be me responding, but we're all aware. We all know this situation, and it's being followed pretty closely. So, for now, we're going to go ahead and leave this subject alone. We'll try to post some updates as possible, or as they arise. Hopefully, the next update we do will be regarding the FBI and what exactly they are doing, or what they have done.